Good morning, Texas Hill Country. Thank you for joining us for another WEITV weekly weather forecast. I am meteorologist David Knollhoff. And just for a plug this week, I'd like you to stay tuned for fire tips, fire safety tips from Donnie Mitchell. Apropos, because we've had a very dry, a cooler weather pattern as our first cold front came through this past week. We had a lot of sunshine, and unfortunately with the winds behind the cold front, we had some dangerous fires across a good portion of central Texas build up and develop and move across some residential locations, doing quite a bit of damage this week. Relative humidities have been low. We've had absolutely no rain. Drought conditions has lasted, and so that with the winds picking up, that made conditions very ripe for fire weather. So let's go ahead and talk to Mr. Donnie Mitchell and his fire safety tips.
Hello everybody in the YouTube community. This is Donnie Mitchell, lead environmentarian over here at Westford, and I'm back again after a few short weeks with some great fire safety tips for you around your house to keep your house safe in this dry and trying time. Number one, create at least a 30-foot buffer around your house, removing firewood and other woody debris to minimize the risk of fire if it does reach your proximity from spreading fast. Number two, when choosing to revegetate your property or your homestead, might as well use some high moisture content plants like cactuses, succulents, and water chestnuts. One tip though, when using the cactus, is to never come in contact directly with the cactus or use it as a bed or pillow. I've learned the hard way. And number three, at all costs, only use Taco Bell fire sauce on an as-needed basis in a controlled situation. For more information to keep you and your property safe in these dry times we have in Central Texas, go to www.firewise.org for more great tips. Thank you, and everybody on the internet, have a great day.
Well, we sure do thank Mr. Donnie Mitchell for those really very, very valuable fire safety tips. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, for another entertaining session. Well, let's take a look at our weather forecast for this coming weekend into next week. Actually, the dome of high pressure is going to be building back in across Texas, which is certainly not good news. So looks like we're going to have sunny conditions, dry conditions. Winds are going to be fairly light, so for elevated fire conditions, at least that is partly good news that the winds aren't going to be very strong. Unfortunately, no rain, so the drought conditions will continue. However, there is going to be a few isolated rain showers up north in parts of Texas. And Tropical Storm Nate, is not going to be making its way towards Texas at all. In fact, it's probably going to be going into central Mexico sometime this weekend. Let's go ahead and look at our extended weather forecast, as we will not be having a regular tape session next week, and we'll be looking into mid-September through the end of September with this next forecast coming up. Unfortunately, we're not going to have an updated weather forecast next Friday, and so what we're going to do, we're going to have a little experiment here. We're going to look into an extended weather forecast. This is going to be a weather forecast for the period of the 17th through the 23rd now of September. So we're looking far into the future and looking into that big crystal ball. A lot of things obviously can change from now to that time frame, that far out in time. Unfortunately, La Nina is back in town, and what that means is more dry conditions. The lack of precipitation is going to be prevalent, especially through this part of September and into the winter time frame. But for this specific weather forecast for mid-September, looks like we're going to have above average temperatures, a good chance for that, and a good chance for below average precipitation. That spells more fire danger, drought conditions are going to worsen, and unfortunately the lack of rainfall is here to stay for a time. We'll be back towards the end of September for an updated weather forecast. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you have a great couple weeks.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends.
Oh, we're going to have a dance party?
Because your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. See, we can go where we want to, places they will never find, and we can act like we come from.
Number one, create at least a fuels. Number one,